podcast. We are live. I'm a mess. Back on the hat. So I've been gone for a little bit. A lot of it has to do with I wasn't feeling good. So I want to cover a couple things today, including what kind of happened to me. I want to cover what Warren Buffett said about Pete Legal, because I think that's very important and kind of a sign and hint, subtle little things that Warren said inside his letter that hint towards the future of the actual RV industry, and it's both got positive and negative effects, okay? And lastly, what I want to cover is some miscellaneous items about the industry that is causing some concern amongst me and actually my YouTube colleagues. You know, I'm not the only YouTuber, right? So there's YouTubers out there that are not just RV YouTubers, but they're outdoor YouTubers. They do camping, outdoor lifestyle stuff, everything of that nature. And, you know, I've kind of reached out and they've reached out and we've kind of talked about possible collaborations in the summer, blah, blah, blah. Well, let's start with me. I got really sick. So I always take a break and really slow down in the second week of February. But I got so massively sick that I basically went to work, turned on the Uber app, went to bed. That's pretty much all I did. And I do some videos here and there for the main channel, but I just never, hi Paula, I just never got on to doing this. And I did one episode since the second week of February, which I thought was very needed to be done, but I wasn't 100%. And then last night I got in a car accident. Freaking guy rear-ended my car on the freeway, and my back is killing me. Everything's just kind of sore because of the impact, but nothing's wrong. You know, so everybody knows nothing's wrong with me. Hey, Iowa Larry, how you doing? That's okay. So there's going to be, what I'm going to do is I'm going to get back to my routine, get back to things the way they were, but I'm going to add on a couple elements, and I'm going to surprise you with that. I'm going to add some elements to it. Now, the other thing I really want to point out to you guys is there's a guy named Ray Kent. Ray and I used to work together at Giant RV, and he wrote a book. And I'm going to talk to him about the book and other things. I'm actually going to have him on the podcast second week of March. I think it's March 12th. So you want to put that in your calendar. We're going to do a live stream March 12th. And I'll continue to send reminders. That'll be an interesting conversation because him and I see eye to eye on a lot of things, but there's things that we don't see eye to eye on. And we'll talk a little bit about his book. His book's interesting. Talks about a lot of the positive and negative things about the dealership environment. And it's not bad. It's pretty well done. It's a short book. I'm not worried about that, Kevin. There's nothing I can do with legal stuff about that. There's nothing I can do about it. It's a long story. I can't get into it, but the thing I can't get into is what's going on with the guy that hit me. So, yeah, I'm okay with that. I always feel like I'm doing a McDonald's commercial on this podcast. Maybe McDonald's should just sponsor me, right? Anyway, okay. So we need to go back to a couple other things. Number one, a few months ago, I said that prices were going to more than likely go up. Okay. And I've been saying it every day, every week, up until I slowed down. Right. And the biggest issue that I have right now is that the prices are already going up. So the other day, I had a good buddy of mine. He's a show dog, And he told me that negotiations at these shows across the United States have really slowed down. Like, dealers are not negotiating anymore. They're done negotiating. They're going to set a price. They're not going to lose deals over a couple $100 or $1,000 or whatever the case may be. But they're done losing money. Even at shows, they're just done losing money. With that being said, it looks like the price increase, from what I can tell, and again, we won't see a lot of the dealers catch on to it till probably early to mid next week. But it looks like 3%, 3.5% is the increase the dealers across the board are putting on their selling price. And depending on the brand, the manufacturer seems to be around 4%. So you're talking about, if you're waiting until summer to purchase, whatever prices you're seeing now, on average, you're going to pay between 5 and 7% more than what you're seeing today. Okay, and that's simply the dealerships trying to make themselves profitable again. And at the same time, that's the manufacturers anticipating the tariffs. At the same time, they're raising their prices on the dealers because for a while they were more concerned about keeping their employees going, keeping the factory going, than they were about making money. Okay. Now, I'm not saying the manufacturers lost money this year or losing money right now, but they're not making enough money. Okay. And there's a hint of that in Warren Buffett's letter. What I'm going to do is, if you haven't already, you can go to rvbusiness.com and you can look at the letter. And I think it's a great letter, but there's just those little hints that Warren Buffett's not happy with Forest River's profitability. And it's things that he said about Pete and the past versus what the current economic situation is. Okay. If you're in the industry, okay, and you know Pete Legal, and you know Jeff from Keystone and a bunch of other guys in the industry, Bob Martin, things of that nature, you'll look at Warren Buffett's letter, and you'll go, oh my God, it's kind of like a shot at the industry, like a shot across the bow of the industry going, you better get your profitability back up. Like, you're going to start seeing investors, because look, I know you guys don't like to hear this. Nobody wants to hear this. Investors could care less about you talking crap about quality. You guys can talk crap about quality till you're blue in the face. Everything's bad quality in the eyes of consumers when things go bad. The internet is a place for people to complain anonymously about things going bad. Processes going bad. Ford, Chevy, GMC, Samsungs, iPhones, iPads, clothes, lipsticks, lotions, shampoos. Everything has a bad quality item to it. No product, except for maybe Rolex watches, is perfect. No product. You know what they say about supercars, right? So, this is a little bit of a shot at Liz Amazing, okay? But not a big one, but just a little bit of one, okay? Liz Amazing said once, she probably said it probably a year or two ago, that she feels that they should, when you buy a $250,000 car, like a Lamborghini or a Ferrari, that an RV should be built with the same quality. Well, Liz, I never said this before, but let me kind of throw this at you. There's a joke about supercars. When you own a Maserati or Lamborghini, you always have to own 3. Because if you only own one, you're never going to drive one. Because they always break. They're high maintenance and always break down. They're not high quality cars. They are a status vehicle. That's why nobody puts a lot of miles on them. That's why they're not a daily driver like a Honda Civic or a Toyota Camry. Most of our RVs that are built, the super majority of them, not every one of them, but the super majority of them are your Honda and Toyota. They're your Honda Civic, Toyota, or your Toyota Camry, your Toyota Corolla. Just a small, little dependable, you take good care of the car, you do the maintenance, you take good care of it. You don't just turn the ignition and expect everything to work without any maintenance and without any little tender loving care. It'll always take care of you back. Now, does every Toyota and every Honda work properly and not have major issues? No. The lemon law percentage on Toyotas and Hondas are about the average. So, quality doesn't mean shit to an investor. An investor wants to see money returned on their investment. Okay? So when you have liars on the internet that want to make up a fabrication about a manufacturer, I don't think people realize the domino effect of that bullshit. I really don't. I don't think anybody understands the actual levers that get pulled. Okay? I'll give you an example. If today I decided to only talk negatively about Grand Design RV, we've talked negatively about the whole situation with frame failure, frame flex. We've talked about all that. Okay? We've also talked about the positive side that obviously they are continuing to do something, and obviously I've not gotten any word on a 2025. For me to come on here every day and tell you that every single Grand Design fifth wheel ever built, the frame will fail. And I do that every single day. And people all completely stop buying Grand Design products, period. I'm going to cost hundreds of jobs, lots of investor money, etc. This is why I talk about personally, why I talk about the good, the bad, the ugly, and the great. So the great, the good, the bad, the ugly. The reason why I talk about all the aspects of the RV world in that respect, from the dealership perspective, from my perspective, is because I have that understanding that what I say here will have an impact on things in the future. Okay? Did Grand Design lose market share? Yes. So it's that symbiotic relationship of the guy who's investing money into a company could care less about whether your rig falls apart or not. They don't care. Their goal is, here's money, I want a return on that investment. Which means you have to be profitable. So when you start seeing, somebody's texting me through Messenger, Travis is, okay. When you start seeing manufacturers, dealerships losing money, they lose investors. Warren Buffett, if you read through his letter, mentions this very subtly. It's one of those little subtle things that basically Warren Buffett doesn't stay in a company if they're losing money. He pulled out of Bank of America and a lot of his banking stocks. Okay? Why? Because the banks are losing money. because they made bad investments into commercial real estate. They gave bad loans on commercial real estate during COVID, which is the next bubble. So the reality is that we have to have an understanding that when we start making stupid ass comments on TikTok and YouTube and Instagram and everything else, like a $40,000 brand new trailer, well, it's only worth 15 grand. You know what? Go take your stupid comment, turn that sun sideways, and stick it straight up your candy, you know what? Take your little comment, turn it sideways, and stick it up your own butt. Okay? These type of things, these type of trolling things, if people took them seriously, would hurt hundreds, if not thousands of people's livelihoods. And we have to have an understanding about that. Okay? Does a manufacturer of anything, from a car to an RV to a television to a computer to anything, should they be held accountable for putting out a product that in mass quantity is having severe issues? Absolutely, they should be held accountable. Should they, when they fix the problem and move forward and do the right thing, should they be continued to be bashed about it? No. Should there be reminders that, hey, between 2018 and 2019, X brand TV had an electrical issue that caused fires? Okay, I'm making that up, but just as an example. Should there be a reminder video about that? Yeah. Should it be every single day, you know, that company's a pile of crap. Remember back in 2018, 2019, they did this, this, and that, and this, and that. I mean, they solved the problem, they did the right thing, but me. I mean, that's all the internet is anymore. No, has nothing to do with that. See, you're taking words I said and twisting them. That's not it at all. Okay? Manufacturers should be held accountable. Consumers need to be held accountable for the maintenance of a product. Doesn't matter if it's a clock, a TV, a mop, a microwave. Doesn't matter what it is. The manufacturer has their responsibility. The consumer has their responsibility. Okay? Period, end of report. Both sides have their responsibility. Okay? Here's a great example for you, Michael. Just had this happen on a car. A person I know that basically this person helps me with a lot of my like my sound editing. They kind of taught me a lot about sound editing, and they called me and asked me to help them buy a truck. 6 months ago, they bought the truck. The truck, I'm not going to mention what truck, because then everybody's going to start, oh, you don't like that truck? Rah, rah, rah. Starts the truck, every day drives it. He put 52,000 miles in 6 months. Did not do one oil change. The rod went through because there wasn't enough oil, because there was an oil leak. So, should the truck manufacturer be held accountable for the rod going through, and because he didn't check his oil, do an oil change in 52,000 miles? That's what he wants. He did nothing but bitch and complain to me, and now he's taking a page out of my book and created a TikTok and YouTube channel to talk about it. He thinks that the truck company should be held accountable because they should have built a better truck that didn't need an oil change. Okay? My kids and the mother of my kids live in a fifth wheel, a Keystone Cougar. That's a pretty well-built product. Things go wrong in it. Little things always go wrong with it. But instead of letting those little things just slide, they repair them and fix them. And they do the maintenance. They clean the battery compartment. They clean the appliances. They use the right chemicals for the toilet and the water lines. They don't overdo the breakers and burn the electrical up. Now, a lot of that's because me. And that Keystone Cougar fifth wheel will probably last another 20, 25 years because we take good care of it. It's a good product. Is it the best product in the God's green earth? No, but it was within our price range. Yeah. Well, Keith, again, because they've had so many problems in the past with the frame failure, frame flexing, with the slide out issues, okay? These are all manufacturing problems that they have to do something. But if you go look at Winnebago stock has taken a major hit in the last 4 years. It went from a peak during COVID and slowly has just gone down, came down to reality because they keep losing money. And investors don't like to lose money. So they pull out of their investments when you keep losing money, when you're not making them money. So investors don't give a shit about your opinion about quality. They care whether that company is giving them a check for their investment. And when you don't, they pull out and run. Because of all the things going on with Grand Design fifth wheels, that saga's not over. It might be over as far as 2025 models may never have the problem again, or the problem has been cut down to what the average is supposed to be. We still have a lot of 23s, 24s, and 22s of people getting repaired. Do you think Winnebago is going to make any money this year? No. Do you think investors are going to stay with Winnebago if they lose money for 3 years in a row? No. So it's all a circle. If the consumer has and I'm not bashing consumers. I'm telling you that there's a lot of people in this world that bitch and complain on the internet because they want to press a button and never have to do any maintenance. We are a lazy society. It is crazy how lazy we really are. It is crazy how we have this expectation that we're going to speak into a phone and everything's going to get fixed. It's not the way it works. The reason why the older generation of people have really nice stuff that they bought in the 90s or early 2000s is because they take care of their stuff. My grandfather took excellent care of things. Does that mean his 2001 Ford F-250 back then didn't have problems? It had major problems. That V10 motor was a pile of junk in that truck. Yet when my grandfather passed that truck down, that truck was pristine, working order. Everything was perfect because he took good care of it. Yeah, I mean, it's like you cannot expect, you just can't expect everything, including your washer and dryer at home, to work perfectly if you never do what the manufacturer suggests for maintenance. All I ever hear about all kinds of products is they just don't build it like they used to. Now, there are some stuff, I will agree. There's some cheap-ass toys and cheap little gimmicky crap you could buy on TikTok Shop or buy on Amazon, and it just falls apart in 2 days. But I'm talking about the regular, everyday stuff. Our washer dryer, our refrigerators, our TVs, our microwaves, our cars, our RVs, our boats. They require maintenance. And me, I hold myself accountable on my Hyundai Santa Fe, because my Hyundai Santa Fe, the motor blew because I kept going back to the same Jiffy Lube because it was convenient and I was used to it. And it was cheap. So even though it's Jiffy Lube's fault overall, I could have just kept going to a Hyundai dealer and spend double the money, but Hyundai would have replaced the motor. And I wouldn't have had to voluntarily repossess it. So we have to look at our own selves and realize when we say stupid crap on the internet, there's levers that get pulled along with it. We have to hold ourselves to a higher standard of what is reality and what is fiction, right? Now, the little things. Now, I've noticed it's a troubling trend right now. The troubling trend I'm seeing right now is, I think the Canadian RV market is going to come to a standstill. Here's what's interesting. I don't think it'll affect the United States. I think it's only going to be significant to Canada. And hear me out on this. So if you're Canadian, hear me out on this, okay? The dealerships in Canada, a lot of them, pulled the trigger, pulled a lever, and decided to buy up the majority of the stock that manufacturers had in their yards. Everything from Jayco's to Coleman's to Forest River Products to Keystone Cougars, etc. Grand Design, Brinkley, etc. So they're overstuffing their dealerships full of inventory in reaction to tariffs. Okay. From what I'm understanding from my Canadian colleagues is the RV business is still really, really slow and really bad right now. So now you're taking combination that the manufacturers shipped all this inventory up to Canada. All these dealers bought all this inventory in a panic over tariffs, and yet they're not selling RVs at the same pace that they were in 2016, 2017, 2018. Screw COVID. Just prior to COVID. The majority of the United States has kind of gotten back to normal. Okay? A lot of shows, the only shows I heard that did really bad is I heard that the Salt Lake City show was packed full of people, but sales were significantly down. It was the only show that I was told that it was a packed house and sales were terrible. The majority of the other shows in the United States, from the Northern California show to Tampa, there wasn't a lot of people, but sales were up and up significantly. I talked to one dealership. Their goal during a particular show was to sell 85 Class B motorhomes. They sold 154. They almost doubled their goal. So the RV market in the United States has stabilized. Now, for everybody that's going to go, well, I pass by dealers all the time and they're so overstuffed. You're so full of crap. Okay. Well, let me tell you folks something. You don't sit and read the stats. Now, are there dealers that are that stupid? Sure. There's those kind of dealers that are that stupid in the car business and in the boat business and in the tractor business and in the semi-truck business. There are people who are idiots and want to hold on to their inventory and have to make a minimum profit on every deal, otherwise they're not going to sell it. I get it. But that's not every single dealership, and that's not even the majority of dealerships. That is a small percentage. Everybody else that I've talked to, super excited. They feel we've gotten kind of back to some kind of normalcy. That's the biggest word that most owners of RV dealerships have told me, is they feel like things have kind of gotten back to normal. They have not been normal for 5 years, almost 5 years. Okay? Ever since COVID lockdowns, which is almost 5 years into that, since then, it's like, hey, we're finally getting to a normal. We had this roller coaster where everything was just, nobody could keep anything in stock, to holy crap, nobody's buying anything, to okay, everybody's kind of buying stuff, but then it crashes again. And it's just been this roller coaster. And this year so far, knock on wood, dealerships feel like we're getting back to some kind of normalcy. Here's a great example. I do a lot of Facebook Marketplace stuff. Facebook Marketplace 2 years ago was a horrible place to try to sell an RV because nobody was buying. Picked up a little bit this year. Hi, Skylar. Picked up a little bit this year, or this last year. This year, it's like, on my marketplace, it's like every 7 days, there's 16,000 people clicking on my inventory. So the market is not going to ever be like it was during COVID. Never, ever, ever, ever again. That was a one-time deal, and it screwed everything up for 5 years. Now we're finally getting back to some kind of normalcy. And it's one of those little things. Now dealers feel like they can make a profit again. And in making a profit, they can make and hire more people. It's a symbiotic relationship. When businesses are making money, they hire more people. They hire more people because they pay less taxes. They'd rather pay an employee than pay taxes. Now, does that mean everybody makes a living wage, as some political pundits want to say? It depends on where you live and what your expectation of life is. The other little thing that has kind of crept up over the last 2 weeks is apparently we have another trend. Let's watch the Honey Badgers podcasts and then copycat him. It might be 3 months later, but let's copycat what he's doing. Now, while I find that very flattering and I find it very interesting, because a lot of you have reached out to me and said, well, I won't mention names, but a lot of you have reached out to me and said, hey, this guy did this and this gal's doing this, and I know you covered that like 4 months ago or 3 months ago. Yeah, well, that's unfortunate, Larry. So I'm very flattered that people want to like copycat what I'm saying or want to talk trash about what I'm saying. I'm kind of flattered about that a little bit. But in this, I kind of bashed Liz Amazing for a minute, so let's give her some credit where credit's due. There's nobody that can do what she does. There's a lot of people that are trying to copycat it because it's good money. Really good money. Her ad revenue, I bet your AdSense, I bet she's making 30, 40 grand a month. Okay, and she deserves it. I'm not going to talk trash about that. If she's making 30, if I did my math right, and she's making 30, 40 grand a month, she deserves it. Okay, because she's never going to get sponsored. In the reality of things, we don't need more Liz Amazings. We don't need more honey badgers in the context of negative, 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 negative. Taking what I say and twisting my words. And then, you know, there's just, I've noticed a trend. Maybe it's just because I'm getting bigger. Maybe because my platform's getting bigger. Maybe I'm actually being able to see more stuff. But I'm starting to see a lot more lies about the RV industry on every platform. From Instagram to TikTok to Lemonade to Red Note to YouTube to Rumble. There's a lot of bad information put out there. Okay. Here's a good example of bad information. Brinkley RV is having a massive frame flex and frame failure problem. So I did the same thing. So give you guys a little background on that. My last episode, before I kind of had to take a break. My last episode, I asked Brinkley owners, and I also went to Brinkley groups, Reddit, Facebook, Instagram. I put it everywhere, just like I did with Grand Design. If you're having problems or suspect your Brinkley's having frame failure, frame flex, reach out to me. Okay? Now, when I did that with Grand Design over 2 years ago, I had hundreds of responses within 2 days. Take a wild guess. How many Brinkley fifth wheel owners have reached out to me and said they have a frame problem? Take a guess. I'll give you 10 seconds. Ready? Here we go. That's right, Paula. 0. Zero. Now, there's been people with brake issues. There's been people with electrical problems. There's even people that have the normal every ticky-tack stuff that every manufacturer goes through, because Brinkley's are overpriced and they're not as great as they make themselves out to be. But they're not a bad product either. Okay? But 0 frame problems. 0 that have been reported to me. And that's over 2 weeks. Imagine that. So if anybody goes on YouTube and TikTok and remember, I'm not the biggest fan of Brinkley or the owners of Brinkley. I am not a fan at all. But let's give credit where credit's due. So there's a certain couple of YouTubers. It's not just one. Most of you will guess at the one. But there's a couple other YouTubers out there and one TikToker that is spreading this rumor that Brinkley frames are snapping and falling apart. That's a lie. Now, has there been 1 or 2 cases that are legitimate cases? Yes. There's one YouTuber that interviewed a couple that is having a legitimate issue. Whether it's consumer-driven, manufacturer-driven, we don't know. But there is one consumer that I've been able to verify, because they're overpriced and they're the same stuff as an east to west product. So Brinkley is the same coach as a Keystone Cougar, a Forest River Flagstaff and Rockwood, same thing as an Alliance, and same thing as basically every other fiberglass coach. It's the same coach with a different marketing strategy and a lot higher price tag. It's not any different than anything else built. It has a different look, and they do two things really well that other people have already caught up to. Okay, and that is, if you went into a 2 years ago you went into a Brinkley, you would feel like there's no waste of space. Like every piece of wall space in that coat, in their coaches, had some sort of functionality to it. There was no waste of space. Well, everybody caught up to that already. That was what made Brinkley more unique. And they took a page out of their Grand Design stuff and put a lot more LED lighting inside. That's it. There's nothing special about Brinkley. But it's not a bad product either. It's actually pretty actually pretty good. It's on the same level as a Jayco Whitehawk or a Jayco Pinnacle when it comes to fifth wheels. It's the same level. It's not any better, not any worse, nothing of that nature. It still stands for toolkit and sense of humor. And I think it's severely overpriced. But that doesn't make them a bad product. And that doesn't make their automatically if one person has a frame problem doesn't automatically mean that everybody's got a frame problem. Yeah. So far, so good. No 2025s have been reported to me. I've had some 2024s reported, but I guess they made that switch over for your model 25, and so far I haven't heard anything. Nobody's reached out to me, and that little ad thing I run is still there, and nobody's reached out and said anything about 2025s and Grand Design. But again, Grand Design products went through the roof price-wise too. So, pardon me. All right. Car's charged. I got to go. I'll talk to you guys later.